Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Conflict Zone. Please subscribe and like my videos to stay updated on every breaking development in global military conflicts. Today, we turn our focus to a rapidly escalating situation that could reshape the balance of power in Eastern Europe, the sudden explosion of conflict along the Belarusian frontline. What was once a quiet frontier has now turned into a flashpoint, and the implications are enormous for both regional security and international stability. From the outside, the Belarus front looks deceptively calm. Vast stretches of open fields, thick forests, and quiet towns have for months seemed untouched by the chaos raging elsewhere in Eastern Europe. But beneath this still surface, the Belarusian military and its Russian allies have been preparing for something big. Satellite images reveal massive troop movements, convoys of tanks and armored vehicles, and the rapid construction of temporary command centers and air defense positions. The Belarusian government continues to maintain that these deployments are defensive, yet the scale and positioning tell a very different story. The exterior of this new conflict front is defined by its strategic geography. Belarus borders Ukraine to the south, Poland and Lithuania to the west, both NATO members, and Russia to the east. This makes it one of the most sensitive military corridors in Europe. Every road, every railway line, and every airbase now matters. The frontline regions, particularly near Brest and Gomel, have become heavily militarized. Military analysts describe this as one of the most dangerous buildups since World War II. But to understand what is happening inside, we must look at the internal dynamics of Belarus itself. Inside the country, tensions have been growing for years. After the 2020 elections and subsequent protests, President Alexander Lukashenko tightened his grip on power, relying heavily on Moscow's support. Since then, Belarus has become a strategic extension of Russian influence. The government has allowed Russian forces to train, stage, and even launch attacks from Belarusian territory. Recently, however, sources suggest that not all within the Belarusian military or population are aligned with this path. Reports are emerging of internal resistance, sabotage within supply lines, and quiet communication between anti-regime elements and Western intelligence agencies. The interior situation reveals an uneasy alliance between Lukashenko's loyalists and Russian military command. Russian officers have reportedly taken over coordination of several key operations, including air defense and missile logistics. Meanwhile, the Belarusian army, though smaller and less modernized than Russia's, has been equipped with new weapon systems over the past year. These include upgraded T-72B3 tanks, Iskander short-range ballistic missiles, and advanced electronic warfare units. Civilian morale within Belarus is mixed. Many citizens fear being dragged into a full-scale war they do not support. At the same time, the propaganda machinery of the state continues to promote a narrative of Western aggression and defensive patriotism. Inside military bases, however, soldiers are reportedly anxious. Anonymous testimonies suggest low confidence among Belarusian conscripts and confusion about their role in the larger Russian strategy. This fragile interior environment may ultimately determine how far this new war expands. The performance of Belarusian forces and their Russian partners on this new front has been closely observed in the past weeks. Drone footage shows coordinated artillery strikes, rapid armored maneuvers, and electronic jamming operations. Belarusian radar systems have successfully tracked NATO surveillance drones near Polish airspace, demonstrating upgraded radar and communication integration. Russian fighter jets stationed in Belarus have carried out long-range missile drills, showcasing the joint operational command structure now in place. However, performance is not without issues. Many units face logistical difficulties, with reports of fuel shortages and outdated communications. The Belarusian military lacks extensive combat experience compared to Ukrainian forces hardened by years of warfare. Yet, the Russian assistance has temporarily bridged this gap. Joint exercises over the past months have refined their interoperability, especially in combined artillery and drone reconnaissance missions. The performance of these joint forces is expected to improve further as Moscow continues to supply training and technology. In terms of safety features, Belarus has focused heavily on defensive systems. New S-400 and Tor M2 air defense batteries have been deployed across the western border. The government claims this is purely to protect its airspace, but analysts believe these systems are also meant to shield Russian assets from possible NATO retaliation. Underground bunkers have been reinforced, and new communication shelters have been established near critical infrastructure. Military convoys now travel under camouflage nets and operate mostly at night to minimize visibility from satellites and drones. Civilians, however, face growing insecurity. Border towns are conducting evacuation drills, and schools in several regions have been converted into emergency shelters. The government assures the population that Belarus will not initiate an attack. But the recent explosion of hostilities along the southern frontier, reportedly involving artillery exchanges with Ukrainian positions, tells another story. Safety for both soldiers and civilians is increasingly fragile as this war front develops. The unique selling points of this new Belarusian front from a strategic and military perspective lie in its location and leverage. For Russia, Belarus offers a shortcut into northern Ukraine and a direct threat to NATO's eastern flank. The terrain is ideal for large-scale mechanized operations, and Belarus's infrastructure, including highways and airfields, allows for rapid troop deployment. Additionally, Belarus's integration with Russian command gives Moscow a new axis of control in Europe. For Belarus itself, Lukashenko uses this situation as leverage. By presenting his country as an indispensable military ally, he gains political security and financial aid from Moscow. This, however, comes at a heavy price: loss of independence and potential involvement in a devastating regional war. From a geopolitical standpoint, Belarus is now both a shield and a spear defending Russian interests, while risking becoming a primary target in any escalation with NATO. When it comes to the price of this conflict, it is not just financial but deeply human. The Belarusian economy, already strained by sanctions and political isolation, is now under greater pressure as resources shift toward military spending. The ruble continues to weaken, and reports suggest shortages of certain imported goods. International investors are withdrawing, and border trade with Poland and Lithuania has plummeted. The hidden cost is the fear spreading among ordinary citizens, the uncertainty of whether their country will soon become the next major battlefield in Europe. At the same time, Ukraine and NATO forces are monitoring every move. Poland has reinforced its border with thousands of troops, and Lithuania has placed its air defenses on alert. NATO's intelligence aircraft circle the skies daily, tracking Belarusian movements. The United States has issued warnings that any Belarusian attack on Ukraine would be met with severe consequences. The price of escalation could, therefore, be catastrophic, a chain reaction that draws in multiple nations. In conclusion, the Belarus Frontline explosion represents more than just a new battlefield. It symbolizes the shifting center of gravity in Eastern Europe's ongoing struggle. The exterior shows a growing military presence and strategic posturing. The interior reveals political fragility and public unease. The performance of the joint Belarusian-Russian forces demonstrates both capability and vulnerability. Safety is increasingly uncertain for soldiers and civilians alike. The unique selling points of Belarus's geography make it an indispensable yet dangerous ally for Russia, and the price, both economic and human, grows heavier with each passing day. This unfolding crisis may soon determine the future of the entire region. Will Belarus remain a staging ground, or will it become a full participant in a larger war? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the explosion of conflict on the Belarus frontline has once again reminded the world how fragile peace truly is in Eastern Europe. Thank you for watching Conflict Zone. Please subscribe, like, and share this video to help spread awareness about the truth behind this emerging front. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you in-depth updates on every critical movement in this rapidly changing war zone.